It is the first day of a bright, shiny new month. This is the Automotive State of the Union. I'm Paul J. Daly. This is Kyle Mountsier. And guess what, Kyle? This is the month that ASOTUCon happens in.
Whoa.
We made it to May.
Who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they
Big
see
close
me.
to the month of last week.
Q, it's gonna be May social media posts.
Brian Ortega, if you're out there, he's probably already got 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's like 80 people on LinkedIn right now, just like, I've been waiting for my it's gonna be May post.
I know Nathan, our producer, is getting all excited about May the 4th post. There's a lot of great things happening in May.
There are a lot of
things.
great
One of
things
them is
happening in
ASOTUCon. Less than 2 weeks now. 2 weeks from today, we will be on the final day of ASOTUCon. Oh boy, the day 2 morning programming is a full-on
I'm like,
show.
guys, show us that. Please do not leave on day 1. If you were thought about leaving day 1, you are sorely mistaken about how we structure content.
I know we don't have the agenda, I don't think, up here. I want to give a special thanks to our friends at Reynolds and Reynolds and Goobagoo for being the presenting sponsors of ASOTUCon this year. That's right. Put the slide up. That slide deserves to be up. They've always stepped up early to make sure that we make the show all that it can be. Day 2 morning, though, we just have a lot of names on stage.
It's wild.
We got the Brian Benstocks. We got the Patrick Abads. We got, that's right, the breakfast session. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Todd Caputo and I are doing a breakfast session called Leading Without Losing Yourself. And Todd has really, Todd built a massive company, $200 million dealership group, sold it, really has gone through all the phases of working his face off like you do in the auto industry, and has built like a renewed focus to help restore people in the midst or in the maybe at the end of the rope where they've burned out and they've lost their family, or they've burned out on their family and they're feeling drained and they're feeling overwhelmed in the midst of all the success. So we're doing actually a session to talk about how to mitigate some of those things. And gosh, there's so much of that needed, whether you're dealer, industry partner.
If you can, if you are not an early riser, you should be there, because
we'll have breakfast and coffee.
Everything else that happens at the event, especially for high-powered, high-energy leaders in the automotive space, everything else at the event, whether it be technology or a new process or a new way of thinking about your business, everything else hinges on that.
Absolutely.
Like, if you can't be a good leader and lead yourself, lead your home, and be healthy, everything else falls apart.
It does. And it's just some of the hardest, most challenging places to lead are the ones closest to home. Everybody knows that. After the breakfast session, though, we're going to be hitting the main stage. This session's great. Lead or be left behind. We're going back to an OG format where we have 3 straight ballers, Ryan Rohrman, Patrick Abad, and Erica Tiffany Wells, going to give 15-minute mini talks. And then we're going to gather them all together for a panel conversation. We have some Q&A. Right after that,
Steve Greenfield.
Oh, is Greenfield doing his keynote right after that? Oh,
Steve Greenfield's right after that.
Good night. Who's after Greenfield? We have another one.
No, that's it.
You're thinking day 1. Day 1 is
day one's so
stacked.
great. It's Ben Stock and Claude Silver. Listen, if you got to be at ASOTUCon, you're going to be sad if you're not. Time to get tickets, time to get flights, time to get hotel rooms, all the things ready. We'll be ready for you. So you can go to ASOTUCon.com, get your tickets, book your accommodations, and get ready to just leave there inspired and energized. And I always say this: what is the ROI of a fired up GM or a fired up sales manager or a fired up BDC manager or a fired up marketer? What's the ROI? It's
infinite.
It's a lot more than a ticket. That's for sure.
Come on. Let's get into it. Come on.
Some news. Listen, U.S. shoppers are racing to dealerships to beat rising prices from new import tariffs, driving Hyundai and Kia to record April sales as both brands notch their 7th straight month of year-over-year gains. They are just hot brands. U.S. Hyundai sales jumped 19% in April year-over-year, while Kia sales went up 14%. EVs and hybrids are continuing to shine. Hyundai up 25%, Kia up 21%. Industry-wide sales projected to rise as much as 15% in April. So they're beating the industry, but momentum is cooling a little bit as the month kept progressing. U.S. new vehicle inventory dropped 2.57 million units. Get this, all the way down to a 61-day supply.
That's where we need it, fam.
Down from 70 days at the start of April and down from 81 days a year ago. So we've gone from 81 days to 61 days in 1 year. Here's a quote from Cox Automotive's Charles Chesborough. We call him Charlie.
Yep.
Quote, inventory levels have declined substantially over recent weeks, likely pushing vehicle prices higher. The outlook for new auto sales from here is more troubling.
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday, but I talked to multiple dealers earlier this week at DMSC that said, hey, we're getting new car leads, but also that, like back to the early COVID days when customers were calling in over and over saying, did you get one yet?
Yeah.
But did you get one yet? I had one dealer tell me that they have 4 of their 15 locations that have less than a 5-day supply of new cars. That's bananas.
What franchise?
Well, the franchises.
Oh, yeah.
Lexus,
the hot ones. I mean,
Lexus,
yeah, they're still tight.
But still, like for a group to have that happening, I'm sure there's more that are driving that down because, there are a few manufacturers that are still driving the day supply up. And a lot of manufacturers are dealing with, sub 15, sub 20 day supply at a lot of their dealerships. So you've got, excited salespeople probably again. You've got excited customers calling in, checking availability. That's probably if I had to guess, if you aren't putting a check availability CTA on your new cars in particular, I would move back to that. I hate the CTA.
Yeah,
but right now it's the one that makes the most sense.
Right, because there's nothing worse than having someone disappointed when they assume the car is there. Exactly. And they get all excited about it, and then you're like, oh, that's not here. They immediately think you're trying to scam them.
Yep. And just get in the practice of like when a car sells, move it out of your IMS, like move it to wholesale, even if for some reason like your IMS doesn't clean house until overnight. You could get that vehicle off maybe 3-4 hours sooner offline just to not drive inappropriate leads, right? Get people to the cars that they're really looking for.
Speaking of things we're really looking for.
Stop.
Segue.
Speaking of things that I am really looking for, since I have a Ford now, Ford canceled its highly anticipated FNV4. You might not remember it, but it was the electrical architecture project that was once billed as the key to competing to pioneers like Tesla. The move underscores the uphill battle legacy automakers face in modernizing that age-old vehicle software. Ford especially has had some doozies in the past. FNV4 aimed to unify software across gas and electric models, cutting costs, boosting update speed. The project was scrapped now due to high cost overruns and delays after contributing to nearly $10 billion in software and EV losses over the last 2 years. CEO Jim Farley admitted Ford's current system relies on code from 150 different suppliers, creating major barriers to quality and speed. Felt that a little bit this morning when my sound went out. Ford is shifting focus to a California-based skunkworks team developing affordable EVs and advanced software. Caresoft's global Terry Wojciechowski. Sorry, Terry. Said the only strategic advantage any company can have is speed. So I'm kind of disappointed because this was one of the things that was supposed to fix all the terrible UI interactions and the slowness and all that things.
Yep.
And
yeah, the relying on code from 150 suppliers getting plugged into a single system is the reason why automakers are not SaaS companies, right? Because right now, SaaS companies are using Cursor plus Copilot plus GPT plus Gemini to code in record time with less people, with greater UI dynamics, using next gen components. And if you aren't doing that, you're falling behind. And when you've built a legacy company that has all of these things plugged in,
it's a real challenge.
And it's a real challenge. So like you have to wipe the slate clean. So I don't understand why they weren't able to do that, because like, I bet you if you went and hired 10 people that this was their only job for 6 months, they'd figure that thing out.
They could figure it out. I think the tolerance for losses has just dried up.
Yes.
Right. And the EV, when it's coupled in with super like really heavy EV losses, the public EV, I don't know if the public sentiment is shifting, but the general sentiment is changing from what it was. The sentiment from the government was an artificial push toward it. So everyone was incentivized to, I think stockholders, shareholders, public opinion, right? It was a voting machine at that point. Everyone was like, all right, let's invest in the EVs. Let's lose the billions of dollars because we know this is the future. Now that sentiment, everyone's voting the other way as far as shareholders go. So I think this is just one of the casualties of that. Hopefully they got some learnings and they come back around to it sooner than later. Like you said, the tools, the technology, the AI automation, the teams that can operate efficiently and rock that way. We're seeing it front row day in and day out. How about that in the auto industry, kind of leading the way there? But I think it'll come back around and it maybe won't be such a big initiative when they get back to it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
look, I love Nathan, but he's not a developer. But the man put together a full ASOTU game in less than 2 weeks that you can play.
Highly addictive ASOTU
You should go to it, jumper.asotocon.com.
Jumper.asotu.com and
ASOTUcon.
Oh, jumper.asotocon.com. And I'm just saying, when you get to the second screen and you have, or the first screen, you have character selection. I do have a preference. Just saying. I'll let you guess which preference that is.
Your
like,
preferences. That's a good one.
Jumper.asotu.com.
Jumper.asotocon.com. New data shows a growing divide in how U.S. consumers are viewing tech-driven shopping. KPMG's summer 2025 survey, even though it's not quite summer, but they're thinking about it, suggests widespread hesitation toward AI and social commerce, while Capgemini sees signs of rising adoption, especially among, surprise, surprise, Gen Z. 63% of consumers haven't used AI shopping tools and don't plan to, per KPMG. 56% say the same for social shopping. Shoppers say they prefer doing their own research and aren't swayed by online ads. Especially when privacy and data usage are involved. In contrast, Capgemini reports nearly 60% of consumers now use some sort of generative AI in place of traditional search, and a third shop directly via social media. I have a comment on that in just a second. Gen Z bucks the trend. However, over half have made purchases via social platforms, and TikTok shoppers spent an average of $708 on the app last year. So they're paying the money over on the TikTok. KPMG's Sam Ganja said the visual nature of fashion makes it a perfect fit for platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Here's the thing. If you are saying 60% of consumers now use generative AI in place of traditional search, like Grok, Google, Meta have all replaced their traditional search with prioritizing generative AI. So I don't think this is everybody is using Gemini and
you think it's people typing something into Google like they're used to and then taking the result that it generates as the AI result as their
absolutely step. I'm telling you, I have placed more zero-click Google searches than I ever have in the last couple months because Google's AI-generated response that gives me all the data right there on the first screen is enough, which is scary when you think about the progress of that and when it comes to site shopping behavior and page depth, because you no longer get those clicks. You just get the views.
Oh, man. Why is Apple so bad at this? Why is Apple so terrible at this? How come Siri just doesn't do that first thing that Google does?
It doesn't. Serious.
I know.
It's the one thing that is really tragic about Apple right now.
It's so disappointing.
And they had so much hype around it in the fall.
I digress. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It just, them and the Ford team should stay away from each other, I guess. I think we it's all good natured, everybody, if you're listening. It's all good natured. I do think that it's interesting people's perspective on whether or not ads motivate or steer their shopping, because I think what people see and hear do absolutely steer how you think in one way or another, and the better quality creative, the more it's going to do that. But people's perception is that no, I want to research on my own. I want to find out what I want. I want to start my own search from scratch. So shopping data, especially with retail items, small items, fashion items, not a one-to-one with the car business, but they do give us indicators on what people tend to gravitate to. And I've still yet to see somebody really do online shopping, like live shopping, well with cars. I know that some of our friends like Mohawk is getting into it a little bit. I do think that is kind of an untapped territory that is real white space for somebody who's.
Let me just tell you. Let me
right.
just say this as we close. Auto dealers were the OG online shopping. Saturday sales.
So good.
Can I tell you about it?
I could go for a good infomercial.
Do it again.
I could go.
Can
for
you
a good
imagine how that
online.
would play on TikTok? Like just run it back the same exact way.
You know how easy. You know what? We could
like. Why wouldn't you do that? Like put the goofy graphics, get your GM out in front, pull the cars out in front of it on a Saturday morning. That would the nostalgia. Do you understand how much people like? Someone please do that.
The crazy part is we have full capacity to do that for somebody. Look, if you're a dealer and you're out there and you're just thinking about like, hey, how could I pull that off? Contact us. We can help you pull that off. No problem. We could take in a live feed. We could handle all the overlays, all the graphics, all the production.
Oh, it'd be so much fun.
It could actually be a production house for that. All right, enough business development. Stop. We're just going to stop.
Just stop it.
We'll business develop all day long, but we all have work to do in the businesses we're already developing. You have customers to go serve. You have team members to serve and encourage. You have ASOTUcon tickets to buy. Go to ASOTUcon.com. Get the tickets. Talk to you soon.